What role do you think it's possible Christian Combs could play in his father's criminal case?
The government loves superseding indictments. The government loves indicting your relatives. Why? Nothing is worse. Right now, Diddy's sitting in a jail cell. What could be worse? The thought of your son also sitting in a jail cell.
I think that if we're talking about additional charges and additional defendants, those are probably two of the more likely. And Christian, of course, was the subject of a civil lawsuit where there was a sexual allegation naming him directly.
The government in this indictment presented evidence alleging that Sean Combs was running a criminal enterprise, and they actually named it in the indictment, the Combs Enterprise.
The courtroom in Los Angeles went completely silent when the defense dropped a shocking claim. Christian Combs was allegedly hosting underage guests at those now infamous private yacht parties. In an instant, the energy in the room shifted. Reporters started snapping photos nonstop as Christian stood up, visibly shaken. He didn't say a word. No goodbye, no explanation. He simply walked out, leaving everyone stunned. He didn't even look at his legal team. This wasn't a quiet exit. It looked like full-blown panic. Reporters rushed to capture the moment, and for good reason. As soon as the words underage and yacht parties were mentioned, the tone of the case changed completely. Suddenly, this wasn't just about bad press. It was about serious accusations that could spark a massive scandal. At that point, it wasn't about defending his reputation anymore. It was about damage control.
I ain't hear about that raid. I only heard about the LA and Miami raid. But you feel like the feds, they released that video over King Combs' comments.
Oh man, I've worked in law enforcement for 27 years. And I had the opportunity to see HIDA. It's a place, whereas they have the state, the feds, the NYPD, the Department of Corrections, and the state police. Yo, this place could be half of a basketball court. That's where they just got lines of computers with officers of all different people and officers just on the internet. Whoever's over that case, whoever's working that case, don't you know they saw that and took it to their boss?
To support their claims, Christian's attorney brought forward transcripts from secret audio recordings. These tapes, captured by a producer on board, featured a young woman named Grace Omar K. In the recordings, Grace describes being hit on, followed by unwanted advances after drinking tequila she believes had been tampered with. Grace wasn't, just another guest. She had been hired as a steward for what was presented to her as a quiet, family yacht trip chartered by Sean Diddy Combs in late December 2022. But according to her, the trip was anything but calm. She describes constant partying, women who looked like escorts coming and going, and drinks so strong that people were collapsing after a single sip.
Second son, Christian Combs, is accused of sexually assaulting a crew member working on a super yacht. That suit was filed here in Los Angeles. Attorneys representing former yacht stewardess Grace O'Markey say she was sexually assaulted on board a yacht when she was 25 years old in December of 2022 by Diddy's son, rapper Christian Combs. They say his dad, Sean Combs, leased the yacht and had full control of its staff and the premises. O'Markey's lawyers say Combs turned what was sold as a wholesome family excursion into a hedonistic environment. They stated, quote, defendant Sean Combs fostered and encouraged an environment of debauchery. There was always a party atmosphere filled with suspected sex workers, suspected laced alcohol, violence, and sheer disrespect of women and the yacht's crew. The lawsuit also contains photos of bruises that O'Markey's lawyers say she suffered when Christian Combs violently grabbed her and attempted to force her to perform a sex act. They also included a transcript of an audio recording which they say captures O'Markey being forced to consume suspected laced shots of tequila.
Grace says Christian arrived already heavily intoxicated. She claims he pressured her to drink, then began touching her inappropriately, her legs, her chest, and tried to go even further. She says she fought him off and escaped, but it didn't end there.
Focusing on Christian Combs. Markey says that Christian Combs had been staying at a villa on the shore, but that he would come onto the yacht in the evening to party. And on December 28th, 2022, Christian reportedly arrived very intoxicated and then proceeded to pressure Markey to take shots of tequila. She did. Christian allegedly tried to get her to drink more in the yacht's makeshift studio. Markey alleges that Christian kissed her neck, kissed her face, as he groped her legs, breasts, and private areas. Markey reportedly told Christian, quote, "Excuse me, you don't touch my legs like that. I'll move my legs where I want to. If I want to do this, then I will. You don't touch my legs like that." Markey then says that she told Christian she couldn't stay with him unless it was approved by a supervisor, all of whom she knew would be asleep at the time. So this was a way for her to get out of the situation. She claims that Christian said, "Who can I talk to? I'm going to say I requested you right now." Markey then says she responded with, quote, "Well, you can take your hand off my ass for the first thing."
According to Grace, Christian followed her to a room on the yacht. That doubled as a sleeping area and blocked the door, trying again to force himself on her. She says it only stopped when someone else finally intervened. After that, things took a toll on her mental and physical health. Her lawsuit details ongoing panic attacks, depression, an eating disorder, and even seizures. Grace included photos of bruises on her arm and submitted those disturbing audio clips as evidence. She is now suing both Christian and Sean Combs for sexual assault, harassment, emotional trauma, and failing to ensure her safety during that trip.
All right, so I want to bring on right now criminal defense attorney Mauricio Padilla, friend of the show. He's represented some very high-profile defendants in high-profile cases. Good to see you once again. So I don't think we've had a chance to talk about this lawsuit, and now that the news is reporting that Christian has been served with papers here, why is that significant?
Well, it's significant because anytime that they have the opportunity to continue to remind the public of the malfeasance of Diddy, of Diddy's son, of anything related to sexually inappropriate behavior, sexual assault, it helps. It helps the government continue to, lay out the narrative of how bad Diddy was, how bad Diddy's son was. So I think it's consistent with, what they've been doing, putting it out there and really destroying his character. I'm not saying that he didn't do anything to deserve it. I'm saying it's consistent with what they're doing, whether it's the government or the lawyers that are suing him.
Inside the courtroom, Grace's attorney, Tyrone Blackburn, didn't waste a second. He dove right in, guiding the jury through audio recordings that, according to him, showed the drinks at those parties had been spiked with powerful drugs, like GHB, commonly linked to date rape cases. But that wasn't all. He hinted there were even more recordings waiting in the wings, evidence he was determined to get into court. Then came a bombshell claim that Christian and Justin Combs had a pattern of either joining or helping run these disturbing parties, some of which allegedly involved minors. Christian's lawyer, Aaron Dyer, pushed back hard. He called the entire lawsuit disgusting and completely false, vowing to have it thrown out. But the troubling part? These accusations are supported by evidence.
So Markey, Jones taped this event with her. Yes, the lawsuit provides transcripts of audio recordings, and these audio recordings purportedly show, or you can hear, kissing sounds, her telling Combs not to touch her, her allegedly asking about whether she was drugged. Now, we haven't heard these tapes here on Law and Crime yet, but if they are what they purport to be, that is a huge piece of evidence. And remember, when we're talking a civil case, when we're talking lawsuits, the burden of proof is much lower than a criminal case. It's just preponderance of the evidence, more likely than not that this happened.
In a separate lawsuit, music producer Lil Rod also came forward, going after Justin Combs directly. He accused Justin of bringing underage girls and adult sex workers to private events. One piece of evidence? A photo that allegedly shows Justin with a girl believed to be underage and connected to the scene described in the case.
In his lengthy lawsuit, Lil Rod straight name drops Justin Combs, describing him as someone who solicits private prostitutes, underage girls, and sex workers. There's actually a picture of Justin Combs with an allegedly underage girl shown in the lawsuit. Now, in this specific instance, Lil Rod alleges at least one underage girl came to Diddy's home for a listening party. A sex worker was also apparently solicited, and a freak-off ensued. As an aside, this is the same night that Lil Rod alleges Diddy forced him to take a laced shot. He started to feel lightheaded and then woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning, naked next to a sex worker. It's important to note Justin Combs is listed as a defendant on this case because, according to Lil Rod, he facilitated Diddy's alleged RICO enterprise and at times participated.
Lil Rod's lawsuit goes even deeper. He claims that during what was supposed to be a simple music listening party at Sean Diddy Combs' house, a teenage girl showed up, along with an adult escort. According to him, the night turned into yet another out-of-control party. It didn't end there. Lil Rod says Diddy forced him to take a shot that he suspects was drugged. He claims he blacked out and woke up hours later, naked, next to a woman he never agreed to be with. Justin Combs is also named as a defendant in this lawsuit, with Lil Rod alleging that Justin not only helped run these events, but also took part in them.
I think that if we're talking about additional charges and additional defendants, those are probably two of the more likely. And Christian, of course, was the subject of a civil lawsuit where there was a sexual allegation naming him directly. So I think if we're going to cast a bit of a wider net, people are talking about family members, other celebrities, maybe some employees like Christina Forum, but I think the most likely would be those two sons.
Why do you think it's the most likely about those two? Just because of the recordings, the allegations against him? What are you thinking?
I think so. I think obviously they're just civil allegations and those cases are going to be put on hold while the criminal case plays out. But, there is some smoke there. And obviously, there's a presumption of innocence and there's a lower standard in a civil case. But you have someone who's been named directly as someone who participated in a sexual assault, and everything else has been rumors and speculation, but here you at least have one verified.
So, what were these parties really about? According to prosecutors in the Manhattan indictment, this wasn't just wild partying, it was something far more disturbing. They describe it as a series of staged sex shows, allegedly organized by Diddy himself, with help from his sons. These weren't spur-of-the-moment gatherings either. Prosecutors claim the events were carefully planned. Some guests, reportedly including minors, were allegedly pressured or forced into drug-fueled sexual acts, all while being filmed, and it doesn't stop with Diddy. The lawsuit accuses both of his sons of playing active roles. They're alleged to have helped recruit underage girls, handed out money, brought in party supplies, and even helped record what happened, right alongside their father.
I believe it was Justin, Diddy, and G walked into the bathroom. Gunshots rang out. Lil Rod woke up so scared. Justin and Diddy left. Lil Rod went in the bathroom, saw G out all over the place, literally called the ambulance, carried him out. It was carnage and everything, put him in the ambulance. The police showed up. Lil Rod cited that in his lawsuit, and then they asked for the LAPD's report. The LAPD just released an 18-page report with no mention of any carnage or anyone that actually got.
The accusations against Christian Combs became even more disturbing in September 2024, when a Manhattan grand jury indicted his father, Sean Diddy Combs, on serious charges, including racketeering, human trafficking, and several other felonies. Prosecutors allege that Diddy wasn't just hosting out-of-control parties. They claim he manipulated women, including some reportedly as young as 9, into participating in graphic sexual events involving paid male workers. Drugs were allegedly used to control the victims, and everything was reportedly filmed. The case goes far beyond the parties, touching on allegations of arson, bribery, and even kidnapping, but at the heart of it are the disturbing recordings tied to these acts.
I was at I believe to be one of P. Diddy's freak-offs.
Now,
Singer-songwriter Tania Wallace told TMZ's Harvey Levin for the Tubi special, The Downfall of Diddy, Inside the Freak-Offs, she believes she witnessed underage victims at one of Diddy's 2018 parties.
I'm looking like, are those midgets? Because people were it's people over them. Like, it's people trying to hide what they're doing.
Adults who are little people, or are you talking about minors?
Am I going to get in trouble? I don't want to say I witnessed any of that crazy stuff, but we all have common sense. Little people that's not supposed to be there.
You're talking about underage people.
It's a shame.
Is this woman, Tania, is she really saying that there were minors involved in these freak-offs?
That is exactly what she's saying, Billy.
In March 2025, things escalated when Homeland Security raided Diddy's homes in Los Angeles, Miami, and New York. Agents seized electronics, weapons, detailed event logs, and a large amount of personal items, including a surprising stockpile of lubricant. Christian Combs was briefly detained at his father's Los Angeles mansion and brought in for questioning. However, he wasn't charged and was later released. Diddy's legal team responded strongly, calling the raids an overreach and vowing to fight what they insist are false accusations. Still, the image this left behind, a father facing a federal indictment and his son connected to a disturbing civil lawsuit, was damaging. It sent shockwaves through the media and public alike.
Public relations side of this, Diddy is going to want to put up a front of an innocent person. And sometimes the best defense is a good offense. Right now, investigators are going through the evidence that they seized. What they're really looking for are videos of the alleged sexual abuse. If prosecutors have that information, we're talking about days or weeks before Diddy is charged. He may go to prison for the rest of his life.
Christian had been working hard to build a name for himself, apart from his father. In 2022, his R&B single Can't Stop, Won't Stop gained real traction, and he even launched a luxury sneaker brand called Younger Luxury. He was carving out his own success, but now nearly every headline connects him to the growing scandal.
They have to control the narrative and do their best to control the narrative. And frankly, that's her right. If she has that data, that to do what she wants. I don't think it helped the situation. I don't think it helped her son or Sean Diddy. I think it may have just you still have human beings you're dealing with on both sides of the table, and basically kind of amping this up. I don't think that solves anything for anybody. Also, it's a matter of, is the public going to be sympathetic to a billionaire and, his problems and his issues? This isn't something that happened, in an unfortunate instance in a lower socioeconomic area of Los Angeles or New York or Cleveland. This is in Hollywood with a $50 million mansion with luxury cars out front, and dealing with a billionaire. And then they had another one in Miami. I don't think the American people or the public are like having a whole lot of sympathy for anybody right now.
As news of the accusations spread, social media exploded. Some fans stood by Christian, others criticized him heavily, and many demanded that he speak publicly. But he stayed silent, choosing to let his legal team speak on his behalf. That silence, though, spoke volumes, especially after his quiet exit. From the courtroom, many saw his refusal to comment as a statement in itself. And in today's world, not saying anything can often carry the same weight as saying too much.
I was upgraded from my last whore. Risha, Keisha, and Joy. And that ain't tripping if you dip it and Joy.
Shut and Mike.
I was locked 23 and 1.
And 1.
Now I bought like 23
and 1. And 1.
Oh, check up in that shit and all that.
That shit look like right now he getting practice shots. You know what I'm saying? He getting practice shots because we got the legend in the building.
Yeah, you already know what it is, man.
Christian Combs. King, the one and only.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna get right into it though. Music. It's good.
Yeah, I got my new music, Legacy, dropping. It's about to be crazy.
When is dropping? Let us know. Let us know some exclusive.
On the 15th, October 15th. Right. When you see this, it might might be out.
Nah, you gonna see it tomorrow. He working hard. This dropping tomorrow.
And Cardi's dropping soon. It's gonna be a visual.
But I keep it real. Ever since we've been in LA like 4 years, we've been running to you, like hearing that, see you grow, like from developing like artists to like just being cool. At first we met you, like we just knew you was cool. Then you start dropping music. Like,
Christian Combs' legal team is now pushing hard to have the lawsuit against him thrown out. His lawyer, Aaron Dyer, is arguing that the claims made by Grace don't hold up. He says the audio recordings lack metadata. There are no records confirming underage guests were present, and there's no hard evidence proving the drinks were drugged. If the judge agrees, Grace's case could be dismissed before it even goes to trial.
What role do you think it's possible Christian Combs could play in his father's criminal case?
The government loves superseding indictments. The government loves indicting your relatives. Why? Nothing is worse. Right now, Diddy's sitting in a jail cell. What could be worse? The thought of your son also sitting in a jail cell. So if they can prove it and they have him committing crimes and they can involve him in a superseding indictment, I don't see why they wouldn't. They do it all the time in narco cases and in other cases that I've worked on. And it seems to me like Diddy wasn't or never created these broad defined lines between his children and the alleged illegal acts that he was committing. So it's completely possible that they could get wrapped up in a superseding.
Legal experts say it's possible Christian could still be pulled deeper into this case. Some point out that in past legal situations like this, when criminal charges get expanded, people close to the main defendant sometimes get caught in the fallout, especially when boundaries between family and alleged crimes aren't clearly defined. But if Grace's lawyer, Tyrone Blackburn, can show there's enough reason to dig deeper, the case could grow significantly. That would open the door to discovery, a legal process where both sides must hand over things like emails, guest lists, and yacht records, and testify under oath. That phase alone could take years, and with it, Christian's name would continue to make headlines. His dramatic courtroom exit might just be the beginning of a long, messy legal journey.
Statement to ET, Diddy and Christian's attorney said, "This complaint is filled with manufactured lies and irrelevant facts," adding, "We will be filing a motion to dismiss this outrageous claim." The new lawsuit comes as Diddy's former bodyguard, Gene Deal, spoke out on the Art of Dialogue YouTube channel, making new claims about Diddy's notoriously wild parties.
People know there's drugs, there's alcohol, there's loose women, there's loose men, all kind of crazy. I don't think it's only celebrities going to be shook. He had politicians in there. He had princes in there. He also had a couple of preachers in there.
Meanwhile, the federal case against Diddy is moving forward in Manhattan. The trial is set to begin on May 5th, 2025, and jury selection is just around the corner. Prosecutors say they already have at least 5 accusers lined up, including Cassie Ventura, who previously settled her case privately in 2023. They're also pushing to bring in propensity witnesses, people who can testify about Diddy's past behavior, including the so-called freak-offs, to show a clear pattern. While Christian's case is unfolding separately in Los Angeles, it still plays a part in shaping public perception. Prosecutors want to present a picture of a powerful family involved in serious wrongdoing. As for Grace, she says she isn't just seeking compensation, she wants accountability. Her case against Christian Combs is a bold effort to challenge those in power and shed light on how influence can be used to cross legal and ethical lines.
A legal drama, once again facing Sean P. Diddy Combs, who's already the subject of a federal investigation. Just yesterday, Christian Combs, Diddy's 26-year-old son, was named in a new lawsuit alleging sexual assault by a woman working on a yacht in 2022. Sean Combs is being sued for premises liability as the person who chartered the yacht and for aiding and abetting his son in the alleged assault. Well, here's the deal. Right now, anything associated with P. Diddy is considered cancerous. He could be guilty of the allegations that have been levied against him. His son could be guilty of the allegations that have been levied against him. But the reality is that even if they're not guilty of such things, their name has been tainted severely. And usually something like this happens when you create enemies in the wrong places. Usually it's not just a byproduct of your act or your actions. There's something else that's going on here. But you've seen people get accused of things a lot of times. But the tsunami of things that are coming in the direction of P. Diddy and his family appears.
As this story continues, many questions remain. Can Christian clear his name, especially after walking out of court so suddenly? Will he ever escape the shadow of these disturbing allegations? And if it's proven that minors were involved, what does that say about the system that allowed it to happen? One thing is clear. This case is far from over. Whether Christian was protecting himself or simply overwhelmed, his silence and exit left a lasting impression. As more evidence comes to light and both sides prepare for a long legal fight, the public will be watching closely. Thanks for staying with us. Keep an eye out for updates as we follow the court filings, sealed records, and every major development. We'll continue to report until the full truth comes out.